Okay, so we are really happy to be here to a new get together today. So we have got Ismael Perez, who, as everyone knows, is a fantastic galactic historian, author of Our Cosmic Origin, brilliant book. And today, speaking to him the first time, we've got Sherri Divband, who's been on my channel lots, who is the most amazing creator of the Artemis Creative Learning. So lovely to get you two together. This is going to be such a great conversation, because we're going to be talking about, as well as some of the current events, hopefully, the fourth wave of starseeds coming through, which is something that, Sherri, you're very into. But before we get into the nitty gritty, is there anything more, Sherri, you want to do to introduce before we get going?
No, it's a pleasure, Ismael, to meet you finally. And I've been following your work, and I'm excited to see what conversation we can bring forward today about starseeds and New Earth children and education. But we'll go ahead and let Catherine get it going with a few other questions.
Great.
Sweet.
So before we get into that, a few obviously exciting events that have happened over the last few days, Ismael. Have you got any information on the Georgia Guidestones and what's been happening there?
Yeah, that's just a huge shift, the transference of power from the deep state to the white hats. Yeah, so the white hats have been very busy these days, taking out all these monuments that were actually established and created by the cabal in order to harness loosh, create negative energy, by building them on an exact ley lines where they're able to create some sort of negative energy that distributes into the grid, which really just puts the planet in a lot of negative energy. So all that stuff is being eliminated as I speak right now. So it's definitely a white hat operation, and the Galactics are actually overseeing the project of the liberation of the Earth, and they're just very well pleased with all the work that the White Hats have been doing here on the Earth.
That's just amazing, isn't it? And I think it's brought a smile to a lot of people's faces to see that. Now, I don't know if this is something that you've got any intel or information or downloads on, Ismael, but in the UK, my UK listeners wouldn't forgive me if I didn't mention, we've got a complete collapse, really, of our parliament this week, where over between 40 and 50 at latest count of the Conservative Party members, including the main cabinet members who are supposedly running the country. And now our Prime Minister has eventually resigned. But it's an interesting one, because there's so many different schools of thoughts as to where he sat, because the UK leaving the EU seemed to be quite a starting point for a lot of these changes that have happened over the last few years. Have you got anything that any intel on that, or any downloads?
Yeah, part of the transference of power is that all these deep state operatives worldwide have been forced to resign. So that's what's happening. It's not just happening in the UK, it's happening here in the States. It's happening all over the world. It's just the media is not really showing it yet, but taking over the media by the White Hats is the last step, and that's coming very soon. So that way everybody could be informed as to what's really going on. So we could say that the globalist agenda has been eliminated. There is no more, the NWO has been defeated, and so what we're seeing now is just, again, we're seeing them drop like domino effect worldwide, and it's just a matter of time before the EBS kicks in. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, within the next few days, based on, the blowing up of the Georgia Guidestones and other monuments that the Dark Hats have been using to, create loosh and harness negative energy. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the next few days.
We've certainly, thank you, Ismael. We've been feeling huge shifts. And before you joined, Sherri and I were both saying that we've both had really, really intense headaches over the last sort of 24 hours, and weird other things that we won't bore people with. But that's great. So over to you, Sherri. Let's start talking about the fourth wave and starseed children.
Yeah, Ismael, it's just interesting, because when I learned about the fourth wave, I was studying Dolores Cannon about 10 years ago, and I was told that there is a fourth wave coming. And that's kind of right before I started doing my own research and working with children. I've been working with children for quite some time. And to be honest, I hadn't heard anybody call it the fourth wave until you said it the other day. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I talk about that in my book, Divinely Guided, which is about New Earth children and the new wave. And I call them. So my book was going to be called The Fourth or the Final Wave. I was teetering between the two titles, but I didn't want to get in trouble using Dolores Cannon's terminology. So I changed it to Divinely Guided. But I just wanted to see if maybe you could elaborate a little bit on your knowledge of the fourth wave, what that means, and who's a part of that in your understanding.
The fourth wave started coming in around 2000. So a lot of them are the millenniums. They are in their, I guess they're teenagers by now. But right now, as I speak, I think every child is coming in as a starseed, because of the shift in consciousness that's taking place. The Earth is actually moving into the fifth dimension. Some believe that the fifth dimension is already here, and that the scales of reality is already tilting in favor of the fifth dimension due to this mass awakening that is taking place. So one of the reasons why they're coming in numbers at this time is because in the new Earth, the new Earth is going to be populated by what I call in my book the violet race of men. The violet race of men is the new Homo Galactics, is the new, Homo Superior, Homo Nauticus, whatever you want to call them. And that has a lot to do with the idea that we are becoming part of a galactic culture here on the Earth. Even though it doesn't appear like that, we are receiving or we are seeing massive sightings worldwide. The sightings are just appearing more and more, and a lot of this is connected to the fourth wave of the indigo children that are coming in, because of the fact that all the star races are already here. They're here helping us, and these indigo children are in a way just filling in the how can I say it? They're here to bring us, to help bring us into the new world, to help tilt the scales from the third dimensional Earth into the fifth dimensional Earth, due to their high vibrational frequencies that they carry. The fourth wavers are very, very, very highly functional as far as coming in with their galactic memories fully intact, having telepathy. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are already expressing, telekinesis and other abilities. So they're already coming in with different strands of DNA that are functioning. So they're not like the regular person. They don't have two strands of DNA. They have actually up to 3 or 4 strands that they're already coming in fully intact. So all this negative stuff isn't really affecting them. The 5G radiation, the nanotech, the graphene oxide, all that stuff has no effect on these children. These children are on a whole new league of their own. And the beauty of it all is that when the transformation of the human species takes place, when this shift occurs that is going to tilt our planet into this new reality, those children are also going to be teachers in the new worlds, because all of their knowledge is going to be there fully intact when the transformation takes place. We're getting ready to explore a whole new different, level of reality where the children are going to, in fact, lead the way. As we progress into the new Earth, they're the ones that are actually going to be like the pillars, the ones that are going to be the new scientists, the ones that are going to be building the spaceships, running the Galactic Federation, and so on and so forth. So this is an exciting time, and we are welcoming them in numbers now because of the fact that the old Earth is dying and the new Earth is about to emerge, and they are just here numbering in the millions. I would have to say billions. At this point, I think every child being born is a star child. So.
Yeah, Ismael, that I would have to agree 100% with what you're saying, and it aligns with a lot of my research and the children that I work with, and they're coming in and they're exceptional, and they know a lot more than previous generations, and they are natural leaders and teachers, which brings me to my next interesting thought. So I would love for you to expand a little bit more, because I never heard this before. I've heard of 12th dimensional Sophia, but I never heard of, I think you called it Arimatheus. I'd love to hear more about that. And the reason for that, I think you said, is 10th dimensional, is because my daughter Aramis came to me before she was born and told me she would be part of a collective that would be quite huge and part of the new Earth trajectory, which I now know that to be the Aramis Creative Learning Center. So my focus is education. So shifting the education system so that these new children can come in and be teachers and leaders. And I heard you say Arimatheus the other day, and I thought that's too much of a coincidence. And I was just wanted to hear more about that. And I'm wondering if she's connected to that in some way, or there's no coincidence with the similarities with the names there.
Yes, actually, Arimatina.
I'm sorry. That's right.
So, there's 5 adjacent Earths that are coexisting. The highest version of this Earth is Sophia, and she actually exists in the 15th dimension. And she has been for the last 900 billion years, but now she's moving into the 16th, 17th, and 18th. Everything's going up in octaves. So for the longest time, Sophia was occupying dimensions 13 to 15. Arimatina was occupying dimensions 10 to 10, 11, and 12. Gaia, which is the other dimensional Earth, the third bracket of dimensional Earth, is occupying dimensions 7, 8, and 9. Terra is occupying dimensions 4, 5, and 6, and then we are in the lowest version of Earth, which occupies dimensions 1, 2, and 3. But because everything's moving up an octave, Sophia is now moving up into dimensions 16, 17, and 18. Arimatina is moving up into dimensions 13, 14, and 15, and so on and so forth. And then our Earth is moving up into dimensions 4, 5, and 6, and then the Terra Earth is moving up into dimensions 7, 8, and 9. So everything's moving up into octaves because of the ascension. It's not just a planetary ascension. It's actually the ascension of an entire universe that's happening. So most people are only aware of the ascension of the Earth, but the ascension of the Earth is triggering the ascension of an entire universe. So our entire universe right now is ascending. It's moving up in octaves, and so Arimatina is also known as the 8th dimensional aspect of the Earth, and now she is actually connected with the Earth here. The Earth here has a stargate that connects directly with Arimatina, and that is the reason why the forces of darkness have been after the Earth, because in the beginning, when this war broke out with AI, billions of years ago, they were after the 12th dimensional stargate, which was protected by Arimatina. So the forces of light were able to kind of hold them down. And so now in the future, which is our present, they have been trying to control the stargates here on the Earth so that they could have access to the 12th dimensional stargate and eventually reach Sophia. But again, the forces of light are not letting that happen. So those are the 5 adjacent Earths. It's us, which is Urantia. There is Terra. There is Gaia, Arimatina, and Sophia.
Wow, this is super fascinating. And Catherine, cut me off at any point, but with regard to Greek mythology, we have all the goddesses and the gods, and I've heard you speak a lot about that. And Greece has been coming up a lot in my sessions. I work with adults and children. There's been a lot of synchronicities in the last 9 to 10 months with Greece. Everything for me has been pointing to Greece, and I want to know if this is something that you've come across or know about with Mount Olympus, and whether or not that is an active portal site, or if there's something that's coming, or it's a part of the solar flash that you know about within the Greek land or Mount Olympus.
Well, Mount Olympus was the body of the Greek gods, obviously, through mythology. But according to my research, the Greek god Zeus is also known as Enlil to the Sumerians, and El Leon or El Shaddai to the early Hebrews. So it's the same god. He was actually the chief guardian of the earth, and they did have a portal and an active space station in ancient times in Israel. In Mount Olympus. They also had one in the Cedar Mountains, and then they also had one in Egypt, and of course one in Israel. So because of the fact that we are entering the 5th dimensional Earth, all of those portals are now becoming activated, and that's why people are seeing, into the higher dimensions. That's the reason why there's a lot of sightings these days. It's almost like we are emerging back to the reality that existed prior to the fall of consciousness, from full consciousness into limited consciousness. So I would say that, yes, the portals right now are being activated. I think the planet has over 300 portals, but they all fall under the 12 major portals. Those are also known as the 12 major stargates. So from my own research, I understand that the 12 major stargates are actually opening up at this time. allowing Earth to once again connect to the different versions of Earth all the way up to Sophia. So depending on your level of frequency, that will determine in which Earth you end up with, whether it's Terra Earth, Gaia, Arimatina, or Sophia. But yeah, that has a lot to do with the Stargates reopening, and also the return of the gods through their progeny, not the actual, gods of mythology, but through their lineage. They did leave a lineage behind. So that has a lot to do with their descendants that are going to be rising when this transformation takes place. Those are actually going to be the people that are going to have access to extraordinary powers.
Yes. Catherine, did you want to ask anything before I keep going?
No, please keep going, because some of my questions link into the ones that you're going to be asking. So please keep going, Sherri.
Yeah, and so your comment about the lineage, I talk a lot about the Artemis group. So my daughter's name is Aramis. The school's name is Aramis, but I talk about the Artemis group, which is a fractalized or lineage of Artemis herself, and the embodiment of Artemis and who that is. And I'm seeing a lot more new Earth children, fourth wave, are connected to Artemis because they are the future leaders, they are the future pioneers, they're the future innovators. So is that kind of what you're speaking about?
Absolutely, yes. These portals are activating the genes within these children, and all of us, really, technically. So it has a lot to do with the activation of human DNA. See, the sun rays are also being absorbed by the ley lines of the Earth and the grid system. So the grid system is now being upgraded to a multi-dimensional electromagnetic grid, where it's no longer operating on a very limited, one plane of reality, one-dimensional existence, but it's actually opening us up to many dimensions. So as this transformation takes place, it's already beginning. It's happening gradually, but again, it will be triggered where, within a, split of an eye, or within a twinkle of an eye, we are going to be translated into a new reality. But it's all connected. It's all connected with what's happening on with these portals worldwide, and with the genetic upgrades that are taking place here on the planet. And these starseeds know that, not only the second and third generation, which are adults now, but even those that are part of the fourth generation that are still kids are aware of that, are aware of what's happening on the Earth. But, they're afraid to talk about it, of course, because a lot of them are being born into parents that are still programmed or still asleep, but they already know what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Catherine, you want to ask something?
Well, one of the questions that we were interested in is about the mislabeling of children with a lot of the things. So do you want to talk about that, and then I can add into that some of my thoughts on that?
Yes. So a lot of what I speak publicly about, Ismael, is the false labels, and I am working tirelessly to shift that trajectory out of our lineage, so we stop mislabeling these children. And a lot of the fourth wave, and even the third, are coming in with what I call unique characteristics, the falsely labeled of ADHD, autism, the spectrum children, when in reality, they are here to be very dynamic, very unique, and very different than what we're used to, because we're shattering out of that box, right? That we've been programmed into. They're shattering that box, and but up until this point, because of humanity and the way it's designed, they need to be have been falsely labeled. So my curiosity is, I'm curious what your perspective is on the labels of the ADHD, Asperger's, and how it relates to starseeds and energy.
The labels were given to them by the controlled scientific, community, who had no understanding of their superiority as far as being advanced genetically and intelligently. So they labeled them with these names, unfortunately, for many, many years. Also the second and third wavers, who are now adults, have been, labeled by these certain names and stuff. That has a lot to do with the deep state's plan to, suppress the abilities, throw them under the bus as, abnormal, not like the rest of the humans, like there's something wrong with them, when in actuality, we are the children, we are the breed that is actually, going to become the next level of evolution. So that's That's why they label them in the wrong way. Because see, a lot of these companies or these institutions are controlled by the Cabal, and the Cabal has access to the prophecies, and they understood that according to the original prophecies, that there would come a time where a certain group of humanity would eventually, rise to become like superior with advanced abilities, and that's what's happening right now. And they understood that this time was coming, so they did everything in their power to label them, to make society think that they are a stigma to society, when in essence they are a gift. They are a gift from above. They are angels incarnated in human form. And that's the reason why they labeled them. They tried to label me autistic too, just because I was always spacey in class. So I was put in those categories. In fact, my mother would, take me to these therapists, and they would, I guess do diagnosis of me and say that I had ADHD, that I had Asperger's, and I was labeled everything. So I know how it feels to be labeled. It's not a very good thing, but at the same time, I knew that I was the gift to the earth. Well, not just me, but everybody that was like me. I knew that we were here for a reason. So that's the reason why they labeled them, because, in a sense, they're afraid. They are afraid of what they don't understand. So they always give them these names to make them look bad, when in essence, they're saviors to humanity.
It's so beautiful to hear, and it's just what so many people are realizing now, that everything's been inverted. So that they've exactly, when people are so afraid of what they don't understand, or when they do understand, they want to suppress it. And one of the questions I had about that, Ismael, and actually Sherri, is there's been so much controversy about how much of some of these conditions can be caused by toxicity that has been deliberately introduced into all generations, but very much so just the younger generations have just been inundated by these things, by what's in the sky, by what's in the food, what's in the water. How much do you think that's having an impact? And if so, is that a deliberate plan to try and suppress these abilities?
Oh, most definitely. That was part of their plan, but it's not working because our genetics is changing. That's only affecting the two-strand DNA human. The humans that are genetically mutating, like, those that are part of the second wave, third, and even if there's a few left that are still alive, that are, 70 and 80, that are part of the first wave, they're still mutating. So the fact that we are mutating and that we're actually using more strands of DNA, all that poison stuff doesn't have an effect on us anymore. Yeah, so it's not going to happen. They can't stop what's happening. They can't prevent the ascension. They can't prevent the upgrades that are taking place. It's impossible.
And do you think?
I'm sorry.
Do you think, on that note, Ismael, that people can really help themselves on an individual level by taking some of these toxins out of their body? We all know there's lots of really brilliant natural products that can help speed up the removal of those from your body. Is that something that's going to be very useful for people on an individual level to be looking into?
It could be, but at the rate things are going with the way our bodies are changing, it's not really necessary anymore. But I do encourage to, cleanse your body, clean out your colon as much as possible, detox yourself from heavy metals. It's good to just have a clear channel, but at the same time, I wouldn't worry about it preventing your ascension. If you're not a wicked person, if you're not part of the, negative cabal, whatever, you don't have nothing to worry about. You will be a.
Yes, that's exactly what I've been getting, because I get a lot of parents when I work with children asking, panicking, what products, what should I use? And I just keep getting like, they're okay. Like you said, proper diet, exercise, grounding, being outside in nature. Those are the things that are going to allow more light in, and that light is what's going to heal them. And so I'm glad to hear that as well. One quick question that I get a lot, Ismael, is the solar flash that you talk about a lot. How do you see that affecting the children? Or do you think the children are one of those groups like animals where you don't really see it affecting them in any negative way? It's just like super easy for them to go step into that energy. Do you know what I'm saying? As opposed to some of the adults, like what is your thought on the children and the solar flash?
The children are, well, every starseed is bringing in the solar flash. The solar flash is happening as a two-way process. It is the starseeds that are doing the work, that are doing the inner healing, that are collapsing the polarity duality, realigning their individualized unit of consciousness with Creator Source, becoming the white light. And at the same time, it's a external process that is taking place where the sun is actually communicating with our DNA at a cellular level, causing the upgrades, the mutations, activating parts of our brain that have been dormant for thousands of years, like the pituitary gland and like the pineal gland and stuff like that. So I would say that the indigo children, the starseeds, the fourth generation, fourth wavers, are all contributing to the solar flash. So it's a two-way process. It's taking place on an internal level of reality within all of us, by will and choice, right? We are adapting to the new energies, to the new frequencies. And so doing, we are becoming acclimated to the new earth, the new earth that is emerging. And at the same time, it's happening externally. It's a two-way process. So as more and more of us, continue to do the work, the faster we're going to have the flash. But as far as like the fourth generation starseeds, they're already there. They're pure as they are. Every single one is like a Jesus, Mary Magdalene. They come in with pure hearts and pure souls. In other words, they are an example for the rest of us to follow.
I totally agree with that as well. Wow, this is very, very interesting. One question I get a lot, Ismael, from my clients as well, is a very 3D type of question, but very important and significant. If you see this split of consciousness, and those that are choosing on a soul level, and this is where people get hung up. When they choose on a soul level not to ascend and not to evolve, what's going to happen to those people's family members that are not ready? Where do they go? A lot of people are saying, oh, they go into a different dimension. Well, and then people ask me, well, does that mean I'm still going to see them? Where do they go? What's your thought on that question? Because we get that a lot. What's going to happen to people's family, friends that don't necessarily make it in the ascension, or the solar flash does not have an effect on them because their soul has chosen not to ascend?
They're at least going into the fourth dimensional Earth, which is still in the next octave as Earth enters dimensions 4, 5, and 6. So as Earth becomes, takes the place of Terra, becomes Terra, those that are not wicked are going at least to the fourth dimension. So they're still going to be able to operate, they're still going to be able to interact with their loved ones who ascended into the fifth dimension. All they have to do is lower their frequency to go back into the fourth dimension to continue interacting with those that didn't make the fifth dimension. So they're still going to be there, but just in a different level of reality. So for instance, the starseeds that have an automatic ride to the fifth dimension are going to be able to lower their frequency at will, because they are going to be multidimensional beings. And when they do that, they're going to be able to pop into the fourth dimensional reality to interact with, their loved ones or their friends that didn't make the shift into the fifth or sixth dimensional level of reality. So they're still going to be able to interact with them, but they're going to appear to be more like angelic because they're popping in from a higher dimension. See, we're going to be moving in time where, we're going to have gods, immortals, demigods, superhumans, wizards, and everything in between. And of course, the majority of humanity in the fourth dimension are going to be humans who are going to live for hundreds and hundreds of years, because everyone's getting upgraded, but it's going to go into different levels of upgrades. Not everyone's going into the same reality, but those that are going into the higher reality are still going to be able to, travel into the lower realities in order to continue interacting with those that didn't make it into the higher realities.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Catherine, did you have any other questions on that?
I think, as you say, it's something that we see a lot of people talking about, but I think every time I speak to you, Ismael, it just becomes clearer and clearer. As the most important thing that most people can do is not worry about this and just concentrate on being the best versions of themselves each and every day, because that's going to mean that everyone's going to end up exactly where they're meant to be. Because sometimes it's the human brain where we're currently at the moment. So many people sort of overthink things rather than just stepping into that feeling of trust that everything's going exactly where it needs to go.
Yes,
Carry on.
Yeah, we have to. Oh no, yeah, I agree with you, Catherine. You're absolutely correct. As long as we're living accordingly, living in our highest version, or at least we're trying to improve ourselves on a daily basis. That all aids the collective. We're all connected. It's not just us individually. It's everyone is in it together. So whenever somebody improves, they're improving the collective, and that's just the way it works.
Yeah. And how do you see the education system in the future, Ismael? Like, that's my passion, but I'm curious, what you feel intuitively, how you see that going for the children in the near future, and then in the farther out.
It's going to be totally different. It's going to be more based on a spiritual evolution than learning things and stuff like facts, and then getting quiz. No, it's going to be more about meditation, teaching them how to access higher levels of consciousness and awareness, helping them develop more of their genetic capacity. So it's going to be all around. It's going to be mind, body, and spirit. It's going to be totally different than the corrupt educational system that we've had for centuries. And what
about the universities?
Oh, the universities, it's all going to be part of the new Earth reality. Yeah, the universities are going to be more like academies of light, where we're going to bring it back to how it was in ancient Atlantis, where we had temples, academies of light, higher educational systems teaching cosmology, galactic history. It's going to be beautiful and very advanced. Yes.
Yeah, people are going to, you imagine everyone's going to want to be part of that. It doesn't matter what age you're at, everyone's going to want to be part of that system, because it's just going to be so uplifting. And as you said, the children are often going to be leading the way, and us adults will be trotting along behind, catching up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of this restructuring, is in preparation, because a lot of the clients I work with shifting to adults real fast, is that they can't imagine what they would do with themselves having not to work. And I believe that that all is unraveling, and it's all about passion. What are we passionate about? Service to others. What does that look like? I don't foresee jobs like we see it now. What do you see, Ismael, with people? Like, how do they fill their time? People are like, what am I going to do with myself? And I'm just curious to see what your response to that is. What will people fill their time with day to day? And part of that has to do with, I think time is going to change, where we're not going to be in that linear, looking at the clock anymore. Like, we should throw all the clocks away and just live. But I'm curious to see how you see, or what you see for the future as far as day-to-day living.
It's going to be so much better. Those that make the new Earth, all their dreams are going to be realized and manifested. Their job is going to be something that involves their talents, involves their passion. So everyone's going to do what they enjoy to do. Everyone's going to do what they like to do best, what they enjoy themselves to do, even in their own leisure time. That's what everyone's going to be doing. So by virtue of their talents and their passion, that's how people are going to contribute to the greater whole. And because we are not going to have a money system, we're going to be under a universal bank of unlimited abundance. The bigger your heart is, the more abundance is going to be coming your way. And that's part of the new Earth. So it's going to be totally opposite of everything that we've experienced in this reality.
Absolutely. And when we bring in technology, a lot of the children I work with are Starseed. Well, they're all Starseeds, but many of them are coming in to bring technological advancements to this planet. But that's a red flag for a lot of people, and people have nightmares about technology, because a lot of the programming, but also what was planned for us. And I see a lot of fail safes, a lot of frequency measurement in order to ensure our safety and humanity, as far as, because I do, when I look in the future, I do see a lot of technology and a lot of amazing advancements. But in your perspective, how can people feel better about the safety element? How do we know that this isn't going to happen again in a couple thousand years or sooner with technology? There's a lot of people out there that they're questioning. I don't want to put any names because I don't want to flag us, but people high up that are doing things in space and cars and things like that, and electronic vehicles. What's your thought on keeping people safe with regard to technological advancements?
One of the things that we are going to completely obliterate AI. AI is no longer going to be an issue, in the new world. And no one's going to be allowed to ever develop any self-thinking computer at all, because eventually it always goes wrong. Secondly, the technologies that we're going to be using in the new Earth are all safe because they are technologies of light that have been employed or implemented across the entire, universe by many, many galaxies. So these are going to be advanced technologies that are going to be healthy for the environment, healthy for our bodies. And then for those that are in the higher dimensional Earth, like fifth, sixth reality, they're going to be interfacing with the technology to the point where the technology is going to become bio living technology. And that has a lot to do with a high level of consciousness that interfaces with the consciousness of a stone or a crystal. And that's how, things are going to be on the fifth and sixth dimensional level of reality. But on the fourth dimensional Earth, which is going to occupy most of humanity, they're going to be using technology that's only healthy, like replicators. They're going to be using modalities of frequencies. They're going to be using free energy. Med beds are going to be available. That's going to be the new, clinics or the new hospitals. Everything's going to be holistic, natural, organic. And yeah, we're just going back to that way of life as it was before the infiltration of the dark side back in Atlantis. So that's what's going to be happening. There's going to be many regulations as to like not using technology for evil anymore, because the entire Earth project is going to be overseen by the new Earth Guardians, which are already living among us as the 144,000. And those are the ones that are just going to oversee to make sure that nothing infiltrates, nothing, distorts the balance in order to keep a healthy, steady ascension into the higher and higher realms as we all reunite back with Source. So that's going to be...
That brings up a good point, Ismael. There's a huge debate among the community about 144,000. Can you give us maybe you've talked about this, I apologize if you have, who the 144,000 is and what it means, because there's so much misinterpretation of that.
They are the inner core of the Starseed Nation. They are the most advanced beings in the multiverse, the beings that have already ascended, completed, and have graduated and merged with Prime Creator Source. So those are the ones that are coming from the 13th level of reality. The Bible and other manuscripts call them the Elohim, and it's exactly 144,000 individuals.
Okay.
And they're not only just going to be guardians of Earth, but they're also going to be guardians of the multiverse as Earth becomes the epicenter. The hub of the entire cosmos. So that's another thing. The Earth is about to become like the most advanced kingdom in the galaxy or in the entire universe. And it's been amazing living here on this planet. This planet is going to be the safest planet out of all the planets in the multiverse because of the fact that the 144,000 are going to be stationed here as this becomes their new home.
Wow. A lot of the political structures and things are collapsing. And speaking of safety, I've been saying this for over a year now. I don't see particular previous presidents coming back in the exact same role because I don't feel like I'm not seeing those roles anymore. The roles are shifting and I see more councils or like you said, the 144,000, like a committee. How do you see the political structure moving forward? Do you see it the same with other people coming back? I'm just not saying names because I don't want to get flagged, or do you see it shifting or looking completely different?
Well, in the fourth dimensional Earth, other people are coming back, right? They are the 17th letter of the alphabet, right? So they're operating in the fourth dimensional Earth. Above them, in the fifth dimensional Earth, we're going to have the Council of the 144,000. And the Council of the 144,000 will be an egalitarian group of individuals who sit in a council. So yeah, we're moving from a centralized form or centralized structured form of government into a decentralized where it's more of a council, a real democracy, where many people come together to discuss what's best in the what's in the best interest of all of mankind, and that's what we're shifting into and those are the structures that are actually guiding and directing the galaxy and the universe. That most of the advanced worlds out there don't have governments the way we do. They have councils. They are a group of individuals that are overseeing, and these are individuals who are pure, of course, they always pick those that have the biggest heart, because those are the ones that are going to be taking care of everyone else. Because if you pick people that don't have a heart, and then, that's when ego sets in, and that's when you have corruption. So in every advanced spiritual world, we have very highly evolved individuals that have the biggest heart, who are actually the ones that are being the leaders, of those planets. And in turn, they also are connected with the Galactic Council. There is a Galactic Council that is stationed in Sirius, by the way. And, happy Sirius Gateway, everyone. Today is the day, that we are aligning with our parent star, that oversee all the different councils in our galaxy. So you have, the Sirius Council, which is the main council. And then after the Sirius Council, you have constellation councils, and then you have system councils, and you have planetary councils. And the beauty of it all is because they're all part of the spiritual celestial administration of light, is that they're all operating in unison, according to the law of one, according to, unity, consciousness, compassion, understanding, love, and all that stuff. So we're entering that now. That's beautiful.
Wow.
So
okay.
The leaders are going to be dogs then, if it's going to be the one biggest heart. So I'm looking forward to that stage. So, I mean, this is, every time I say it, I saw one of your other interviews with a lovely lady, and I really feel awful because I can't remember her name. I think it was Gilia or someone. Gilia, beautiful interview. And she said something really important, I think, Ismael, which is how you make people feel. And every time I speak to you, I was saying to Sherri afterwards, I come away with such a feeling of peace and joy, and just that everything's going to be all right, and just let it go, And I think this is really, really important for people listening. So there's so much great stuff coming. But again, our current humans can then step into sort of almost wishing their life away, waiting for this to come. So we've said it in the other interviews, but I do think it's so important if you could just remind people about really enjoying where they are right here, right now, and not just waiting for the future to manifest.
Yeah, it's about enjoying the process of transformation, of shifting into the new earth. It's not just about, waiting for, I guess, the destination, right? So at this point in time, I suggest that be in the presence, and be happy with everything, understanding that, a good future is coming for all of mankind, and have no fear. That's one of the things I talk about, is that ignore all the stuff that is coming from the media, all the stuff that's coming from people who are unawakened, because all that stuff is just designed to shift you, or to distract you from being centered. So if you guys could just enjoy the process of transformation and ascension, and not really, be worried about when it's going to happen, when is the EBS going to happen? Because when you worry, you're shifting your consciousness from the present moment into anxiety, right? So the best thing to do, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, is to always be in the presence, being mindful in everything that you do, every second of the time, every second of the day.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Anything else from you, Sherri?
Yeah, I had one last question, Ismael. I keep talking about 2023. The year 2023 has been coming up in my sessions for years now as a pivotal marking point. I've even been told several times we will look back in history, in the future, we'll look back to 2023 as a pivotal marking point of the great shift. And I just want to see, and we don't want to give false time frames and things like that, but just overall, what do you see happening in 2023? Do you see it as I do, as a really pivotal marking point? Or do you think that there's still more room to go? Or what do you see happening in 2023?
Well, long ago, years ago, when I first finished my manuscript, Our Cosmic Origin, I had a vision that by 2024, the Earth would already have been in the fifth dimension collectively. So the fifth dimension is already here. It's just not enough people are stepping into it. Mm-hmm. So I would say that sometime this year, the snowball effect is going to start rolling as far as like disclosure is concerned, leading towards first contact with the space community. So I would say that 2023 is probably the year that many breakthroughs are going to be coming in, given that the EBS already happened, that the Y hats took control of the world. What to expect in 2023 is just a restoration of advanced stellar technology. That's what I see in 2023.
Wow.
Absolutely lovely. Well, thank you both so much. I have absolutely loved this conversation because it's just such a positive outlook for, all of our children and all of our creatures, great and small, really. Thank you so much for your time again. Sherri and I were just saying, what's so wonderful is all the interviews that you're doing, you're bringing so many different perspectives and talking about so many different aspects, and they're all really worth looking. So I'd really encourage everyone to go and look at the other interviews that Ismael's been doing, because you'll find they're all very, very different, but linking everything together. Any final words from either of you two?
Well, thank you, Ismael, for giving us an hour of your time today on such a special day. I really look forward to more of your interviews and hearing what you have to say, and perhaps we'll do another one in the future. And just thank you for joining us today. And thank you for everyone watching.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for having me here as well.
Thank you so much. Take care. Have a brilliant day, everyone. Go out and enjoy the sunshine.